I knew something was wrong the first night the prince and princess came back. Not because people screamed, but because the dog stopped barking. I'm writing this because I can't sleep anymore. And because what I saw was real. No spirits. No dreams. No stories from elders twisted over time. This happened in my village. In my lifetime. With names, faces, and blood. I was there. The village. I grew up in a small village in southern Nigeria. Not deep bush. Not city. One of those places where everyone knows your name, your parents, and what you ate last night. We had electricity sometimes. Phones. Motorcycles. Church on Sunday. Market on Thursday. Nothing strange. The palace sat at the edge of the village. Old, but still lived in. Our ruler was a prince, not a king yet. His sister lived with him. People called them good leaders. That was the word. But good is a word people use when they are afraid to say the truth. The prince and his sister. The prince was tall. Quiet. Always watching. When he smiled, it never reached his eyes. You noticed it without knowing why. His sister was worse. She was beautiful in a way that made people uncomfortable. Too calm. Too neat. Her voice was always soft, even when angry. She never raised her voice. Never laughed loud. Never cried in public. People said she was disciplined. I avoided her. Everyone did. Small things first. Bad things did not start all at once. They started small. A boy went missing on his way back from the stream. They said he ran away. A woman disappeared after working late at the palace kitchen. They said she went to marry in another town. A hunter was found dead in the forest. No wounds. Eyes wide open. They said snake bite. But no one had answers. And no one asked questions. Why I was chosen? I was 22 then. I fixed phones and generators. When power failed at the palace, they called me. That was my mistake. One evening, a guard came to my house. He said the prince needed my help. Something with the old generator under the palace. I remember my mother holding my arm. She whispered, "Go and come back fast." I laughed and told her not to worry. I still see her face when I close my eyes. Inside the palace. The palace smelled wrong. Not like rot. Not like blood. Like metal and old smoke. The lights were off. Only lanterns. The guard led me underground. I did not know there was a lower level. The air was heavy. Hot. Hard to breathe. Then I heard chanting. Low. Slow. Not many voices. 2. What I saw. I turned the corner. And I froze. The prince and his sister stood barefoot on the ground. There was a circle drawn on the floor. Not paint. Not chalk. Something dark and dry. Inside the circle were bowls. Bones. Small bones. Human. I knew because I had buried people before. The sister looked at me. She smiled. And said my name. I had never told her my name. They spoke normally. That's the worst part. They did not shout. They did not threaten. The prince said, "Fix the generator." His voice was calm. Like this was normal. Like the bones were not there. My hands shook so bad I could not open my bag. The sister stepped closer. She said, "Do not be afraid. Fear ruins the work." I wanted to run. But my legs did not move. The truth. While I walked, they talked. Not to me. To each other. They spoke about the village like it was a farm. About people like numbers. The sister said, "We need 3 more before the next rain." The prince nodded. He said, "Young. Strong. Quiet." I understood then. The missing people. They were not accidents. They were needed. Why they did it? The generator came on. The lights flickered. The sister clapped slowly. She said, "Our father started this. We continue." She told the story like it was history. Long ago, their bloodline made a promise. Power in exchange for life. Not spirits. Not gods. Something older. Something that listens. The village prospers. The palace stands. As long as it is fed. They noticed me listening. I should have kept my head down. But I looked up. The prince stared at me. Too long. He said, he heard. The sister smiled again. She said, yes. But hearing does not mean speaking. They argued softly. Like people deciding what to eat. Finally, the prince said, he is useful. The sister shook her head. She said, he is afraid. Fear spreads. They both looked at me. I felt sick. The offer. The sister walked to a small door. She opened it. Inside were people. Alive. Tied. Eyes open. Mouths covered. One of them was the missing boy's brother. I almost screamed. She said, choose. My head rang. She said, choose who replaces you. I fell to my knees. I begged. I cried. I told them I would leave the village. Never talk. Disappear. The prince watched. Then he said, let him leave. The sister looked annoyed. But she nodded. She said, then he carries it. What carrying it means? They made me swear. Not on the Bible. Not on anything holy. They made me watch. That was the price. I will not describe everything. But I will say this. Death was slow. Quiet. Planned. When it was over, the sister cleaned her hands like she had cooked. The prince told me to go. He said, if you speak, the circle follows you. Leaving the palace. When I stepped outside, it was night. The village was silent. No dogs. No insects. I walked home shaking. My mother was waiting. She looked at my face. She did not ask questions. She just held me. That night, I vomited until morning. Aftermath. 2 days later, the palace burned. No one knows how. The prince and princess were found inside. Burned beyond recognition. People celebrated. They said evil had ended. But they were wrong. Because the disappearances did not stop. They slowed. But they did not stop. Why I'm writing this now? Last week, my son asked me a question. He said, Daddy, why does the new chief have a room under his house? I felt cold. Because the new chief is the prince's cousin. And last night, the dog stopped barking again. If you think this is just a story, good. I hope you never recognize the names. I hope your village has no old promises. Because if power is free where you live, then someone is paying for it. And one day, you might be the one called to fix the generator. What happened after the fire? People said the fire ended everything. They danced. They sang in church. They thanked God. I did not. Because fire does not burn promises. Fire only changes faces. The cousin. The prince's cousin returned 3 months later. He had been living in the city. Worked in an office. Wore clean shoes. He said he came to help rebuild. People trusted him because he spoke English well and quoted the Bible. They made him chief within a year. He built his house near the old palace ruins. Not inside the ruins. Close. Too close. The room nobody entered. At first, it was just rumors. People said there was a locked room under his house. They said it was for storage. Generator parts. Old tools. But no one ever saw him bring anything in. And no one ever came out. The first new disappearance. A girl from the next compound went missing. She was 16. She sold bread in the morning. By afternoon, she was gone. Her slippers were found near the road. People said kidnapping. Police came. Police left. Nothing happened. I tried to stay quiet. I wanted to leave the village. But where would I go? I had no money. No job outside. A family to feed. And the prince's voice stayed in my head. If you speak, the circle follows you. I started drinking more. I avoided the chief. I avoided the palace land. I avoided memories. But memories do not avoid you. The dream started. I dreamed of circles. I dreamed of standing and watching again. I dreamed of the sister smiling. In the dreams, she spoke clearer. She said, "You still belong." I woke up sweating. Every night. The second sign. One night, there was a power problem in the village. Only one house had light. The chief's house. Bright. Steady. Like it had its own source. I stood outside my house and watched. The light did not flicker. Generators always flicker. Always. Why I couldn't stay silent anymore. Then my younger cousin disappeared. He was 19. Strong. Quiet. Exactly the type they liked. He went to work for the chief's farm. Never came back. When his mother cried at the chief's gate, guards chased her away. That night, I knew. Silence would not save me. Going back down. I waited until midnight. I knew the layout. I had been there before. Fear does not erase memory. It sharpens it. I carried a small torch and my phone. The door under the house was locked. But locks are just problems, not walls. Inside, the smell was back. Metal. Smoke. Old blood. The chanting was back too. One voice. Not two. The cousin was not alone. He stood in the circle. But he was not leading it. He was listening. There was something else in the room. Not a spirit. Not a shadow. A presence. Like pressure in your ears. Like standing too close to a loudspeaker. He spoke into the air. He said, "I have fed you. Give me peace." The air felt thick. Then I heard it. A reply. Not a voice. More like a thought forced into the room. More. He saw me. I stepped back. My foot hit a bowl. It tipped. Bone spilled. The cousin turned. Our eyes met. And he smiled. Not surprised. Relieved. He said, "I knew it would be you." The truth he told me. He said the prince and princess failed. They got greedy. They fed it badly. Too fast. That's why the fire came. He said he was chosen to fix it. To continue the balance. He said, "It needs witnesses. It needs courage." My stomach dropped. I tried to run. I ran. I don't remember how. I don't remember hitting the ground. I woke up in my house. My wife crying. She said God dropped me at dawn. No explanation. No threats. Just a message. The chief said he wanted to see me. The meeting. He welcomed me warmly. Gave me food. Gave my children gifts. He spoke gently. He said, "You already know too much to leave." He said, "You can help keep the village safe." He did not say how. He did not need to. The role they gave me. I was not asked to kill. Not directly. I was asked to recommend. To suggest names. People who were troubled. People who wanted to leave. People no one would search for long. Every time I refused, someone close to me got sick. Not serious. Just enough. A warning. The price of saying no. I stopped sleeping. I lost weight. I avoided mirrors. Because when I looked too long, I saw the sister behind me, smiling. The final breaking point. One evening, the chief mentioned my son. He said, "He is growing strong." I stood up. I said no. I shouted. I said I would tell everyone. He looked tired. Not angry. Tired. He said, "Then you will carry it fully." What carrying really means. That night, I was taken back underground. The circle was bigger. The air was louder. The presence pressed down on my chest. It showed me things. Not visions. Memories. Every person I watched die. Every silence I chose. It did not punish me. It joined me. Something moved inside my head. Not control. Wait. I escaped, but not clean. I ran again. This time, I left the village. I took my family. We moved far. Changed names. Changed lives. But the dreams followed. The pressure followed. Sometimes, when I am alone and quiet, I feel it listening. Waiting. Why this post matters? I am sick. Doctors find nothing. But I know. I am still carrying it. And carriers do not live long. I am writing this because silence feeds it. Truth weakens it. If this sounds familiar. If your village prospers too easily. If leaders never age. If rooms exist that no one enters. Leave. Before someone asks you to fix something. Or worse. Before it decides you are useful. Because once you carry it, it never really lets you go.